Mini case 1 is the first example this week that we will use to illustrate some of spreadsheet engineering principles. First, read the case description. Then we will create a spreadsheet together. I already have the created spreadsheet that I'll walk you through step by step. Whenever you're given any problem for which you'd like to create a spreadsheet, the first thing you need to do is read the problem carefully to identify what the input parameters are, what output you're interested in. Then, ideally, if you have time, you should sit down and create an influence diagram. In this particular example, we have a company that's mailing out catalogs, getting orders back, and then we're trying to figure out what their profitability is going to look like. The first thing I have done here is identify all the inputs we have. And I put all the inputs in one place. This is the modularization recommendation that we had before. Try to always have your inputs in one place. It could be a separate sheet or it could be a portion of one sheet. I put inputs in one place and I also divided them into two categories. Inputs that are related to the mailing of the catalogs and then inputs that are related to the orders we receive. Fixed cost of printing is $20,000. Variable cost of printing, variable cost of mailing is written here. I mail out 100,000 catalogs. The average order I receive is $40. 80% of that is variable cost. Then I have an envelope cost for each order that I receive, and the response rate from the catalogs mailed is around 8%. So these are the inputs. When I create a spreadsheet, I always use the blue color to identify the input cells, things that are given to me by the model. Next step is creating the intermediate calculations and the output portion of the spreadsheet. Here is my core model for this analysis. Given the parameters, I want to figure out how many responses I have. I look at the total revenue, I calculate all the costs involved, find the total cost, then using the total revenue and the total cost, I'm going to find the net profit. Let's enter the formulas one by one. I mail out 100,000 catalogs, the response rate is 8%, so total response is going to be 8,000. C14 times C20. Total revenue. I know that I'm going to get 8,000 responses and then each order is worth of $40 of revenue. So my total revenue is going to be, I think, around 320,000. F6 times C17, 320,000. Next, we look at the costs. I divided the cost into two categories, fixed and variable costs. Well, the only fixed cost I have is the printing cost. The mailing cost is going to be, I'm mailing out 100,000 catalogs. For each catalog, I'm spending 10 cents to print the catalog and then 15 cents to mail the catalog. So that's my total variable mailing costs. The order costs are going to be, well, for each response, I am paying 20 cents envelope cost. And then for each response, I know that I'm going to get a $40 revenue, but 80% of that is variable cost. So F6 times C19 plus F6 times C17 times C18 gives me my variable order cost. And I want to quickly highlight the Excel functionality that gives you different colors for different cell references. This again comes in handy when you're trying to prove a formula. Now I have my costs. Let's find the total cost. It's going to be the fixed cost, variable mailing cost, and variable ordering cost. Now I know my total revenue, I know my total cost. The net profit is going to be revenue minus cost. So this is the basic model that we'll be working with. We will actually visit this in the upcoming weeks. Now let's quickly look at which design principles, which engineering principles I have used here. I have modularized my worksheet. I have my inputs here, my model here, and my outcome here. I parameterized everything, so the parameters are all in one place. I also wanted to make sure that in no formula I have a number. Each formula has a cell reference in it. So if somebody comes to me and says, oh, the response rate was 9%, not 8%, if I had put 8% into my formulas as a number, then I'd have to search for it in each formula and figure out where that 8% was and make the necessary changes. But since I did not hard code any numbers, I just change this 8 to 9 and I get my answers. I also made sure that I kept it simple. I could have actually had one formula in the profit that did all the revenue and cost calculations. It would have been a long formula, but it would have given me the same result. What is good about this is that I actually divided everything into smaller pieces and it's easier to trace problems if there are any. I designed for communication, as I told you before. I made sure that I use the same color scheme for all inputs, blue, and I always have orange for my output. I use some bold font when it's appropriate. I also made sure that I don't have any numbers in the worksheet that don't have a label. Let's add a quick comment here. If you want to add a comment on a cell, you right click on it and say insert comment, and here I'll say this is for class. And when you open up a workbook, if you want to check to see whether there are any comments or not, you look for cells that have a little red earmark on the upper right hand side, and when you hover over that cell you will see the comment. Another way to see the comments is you go to the review ribbon and then you can say show all comments. That'll actually pop up all the comments for you and you can read them. Finally, with this example, I wanted to show you how Control tilde works. When you open up a worksheet, if you use Control tilde, you will actually get to see the numbers as they are, but any cell that has a formula in it, Excel gives you the formula view here. And this is a way to see which cells have formulas in them, which cells have numbers in them. And by toggling back and forth between Control tilde gives you the formula view and the normal view back and forth.